This is Mr. Zhang. He asked us not to film his face for privacy reasons. A little over 8 years ago, an accident left him paralyzed from the neck down. But here, he's controlling his wheelchair with his mind.
我们现在也在下面练轮椅，可以通过自主的想法，就可以在轮椅上就可以练好之后就可以自由的行动，想去哪儿就去哪儿。
He's even got a few tricks up his sleeve. Last year, Mr. Zhang had surgery to get a brain-computer interface, or BCI, from a Shanghai-based startup called NeuroXess.
你想想，全世界多少几十人伤的呢？我肯定是很幸运的，咱们老虎的科技能选择到我，给我能有重新就是未来希望的机会。
Zhang's training is part of a new wave of clinical trials in China, hoping to make the next breakthrough in BCI tech.
US companies certainly had a head start in developing these systems and testing these systems in humans, but China is certainly catching up very rapidly.
The race to get BCIs to market is on, and the stakes for one well-known tech CEO are high. Like saving humanity from the robocalypse high?
Ultimately, I think this helps mitigate the civilizational risk of artificial intelligence.
AI doom scenario aside, there's a chance BCIs could move beyond just medical purposes and further enmesh humans and technology. But first, they've got to get to market.
Tiny electrodes are carefully cemented to the scalp to detect and record the delicate pulses from the human brain.
There's been a lot of buzz around brain-computer interfaces in the past few years. But the technology behind them isn't all that new.
So a brain-computer interface is a piece of technology that allows your brain to communicate directly with a computer or another sort of piece of electronic equipment, bypassing the rest of the body.
The term brain-computer interface was coined in the 1970s by an American scientist who showed that one could take electrical signals measured by an EEG and map it onto patterns and then decode how that corresponds to movement.
It wasn't until sort of the early 2000s that we got into humans using these chips to read the activity in human brains.
Over the past few years, it's really entered mainstream consciousness, thanks in no small part to the enthusiasm of tech billionaires. But we're at a point where companies are moving fast in clinical trials and really working towards bringing a product to commercial use.
BCIs work like this. Everything you do, whether that's speak, eat, or move your hand, is driven by neurons in your brain. Those neurons send electrical signals to each other to create action. BCIs read and decode those signals to control an external device, like a tablet or prosthetic limb. BCIs come in varying degrees of invasiveness. Some need to be surgically implanted and either stick into the brain or sit right on top of it. Others are placed on top of the scalp. Regardless of how you measure it, brain data is noisy. That's where AI comes in. BCI companies use algorithms to filter out background chatter and accurately identify the brain's instructions.
The vast, rich amount of data that they collect can be super helpful in helping scientists understand the human brain better. And a lot of researchers believe that this kind of data will help AI researchers build totally different kind of artificial intelligence systems.
In the US, it's estimated that BCI companies have raised $2.75 billion collectively.
Chinese and European companies have raised maybe a fraction of that.
Even so, the Chinese sector is growing. Funding for Chinese brain chip startups more than doubled in 2025 compared to the year before. And in March of 2026, China approved its first invasive BCI for commercial use, a signal that it's betting big on this tech.
My name is Tiger Tao, and actually Tiger is the direct translation of my first name, Hu in Chinese. So it has nothing to do with my personality.
Over the past few years, NeuroXess has been experimenting with different approaches to BCIs.
I was hoping that maybe you could bring them all over and demonstrate a little bit.
So this is the product or the device we built for, especially for like ALS patient, high-level spinal cord injury person.
The device uses a strip of electrodes that sits on top of the cortex that can record signals in the brain. Those electrodes are connected to a brain chip that does all the signal processing. That's attached to an internal control unit that processes and wirelessly transmits data to a computer. It also houses the battery.
Last but not least, you had a battery here. You have another wireless charger, that just like the one you're using to charge your cell phone, to put right on top of the chest, aligned to the battery, and do the charging.
More than 50 patients have tested different versions of NeuroXess's technology. But Mr. Zhang has lived with it the longest, since October of 2025. He spends several hours a day training to learn new skills with his BCI.
现在可以，你看做了手术之后，可以通过咱们这个科技、高科技，可以通过咱们的设备去操控一些东西，像淘宝啊，或者点外卖呀、美团之类的，还可以听音乐、放小说，对，包括对生活水平都有一些改善。
It's also interesting that NeuroXess has a collaboration with Xiaomi, one of the leading home appliances companies in China, to integrate its BCI with a whole universe of smart home devices.
Other startups have similar partnerships with tech companies so that patients can start to control their devices with their minds. Mr. Zhang is also training to control a robotic exoskeleton on his hand. According to Tao, this sort of tech could one day help Mr. Zhang walk again. Mr. Zhang will have this implant for an entire year, which is critical to test its long-term safety and effectiveness. After that, Mr. Zhang could remove or keep the BCI, which NeuroXess claims could last 3 years.
In a sense, it can be a ticking time bomb when something is put in the human brain, which is a very sensitive area of the body.
That's because over time, the brain forms scar tissue around the implant, which can damage brain cells and block signals to the device. NeuroXess opted for a less invasive strip of electrodes to help reduce scarring and maintain a good signal. One challenge? The bar for regulatory approval is very high.
This is going to be classified as Class 3 medical device, which is going to hardest to get in terms of approval.
But they've got a helping hand. Every 5 years, China's top officials release an outline for key areas of economic and social development. That support can catapult nascent industries to new heights. For example, China's highlighted new energy vehicles for investment over the past few decades, and today they dominate most of the global EV market.
In the 15th five-year plan, BCI was designated as one of 6 strategic industries of the future.
That means clearer guidelines, faster clinical trial reviews, and better coordination. Oh, and a $165 million brain science fund to back the fledgling industry.
So while venture funding for these BCI companies are relatively limited compared to their US peers, this kind of policy support really helps them accelerate their development of BCI technology.
It looks like it's going to take another 1.5 years or 2 years to get approval, MPA, the equivalent agency to FDA. So that's quite unusual.
The biggest test will be whether BCIs can actually be a viable business and whether it can live up to all its hype, all its promises when it's rolled out in a commercial, real-world setting.
There is a big open question of how these are going to be paid for. What sort of insurance coverage will look like, whether that will be sufficient to cover the costs.
BCIs are unsurprisingly expensive. In July 2025, Bloomberg reported that Neuralink estimates each surgery will bring in $50,000. NeuroXess hasn't announced an estimate, but they've already broken ground on a manufacturing facility the company says will make 10,000 devices a year.
I think then, companies and investors are going to have to see how, large they really need this market to be. Will it be sufficient to only use this as a medical device, or will investors want more of a return and want this technology to be available or marketed more broadly?
Mass adoption of this tech, whether invasive or non-invasive, raises questions about the future of neural privacy.
As this technology becomes more widely available, which many people think it will, there are sort of questions to be raised about who has access to this data and what happens to it.
In response to the rapid acceleration of BCI tech, some jurisdictions are passing laws to protect neural privacy.
There are fears that ultimately BCI will be used or abused to alter people's consciousness against their wills, or even be deployed in a military setting to create soldiers with enhanced cognitive abilities.
Those nightmare scenarios have some basis in reality. In the US, the CIA ran illegal experiments to try to unlock mind control during the Cold War. And more recently, the US's primary military research arm, DARPA, has funded studies into BCIs that could allow for hands-free control of drones. China has also funded brain research for military applications. For now, BCI trials are helping people with disabilities regain their independence for everyday tasks. But Mr. Zhang is thinking beyond that.
希望越来越好啊！通过我们这个科技设备，然后一点一点训练，一点点改善生活，包括以后可以自主的，比如说想吃饭、喝水、行走，甚至到最后，我甚至可能生活自理。
还在想未来想起来，对不对？
是的呀，是的呀。
这最重要。